Grendel is one of the few lucky frames that received a massive buff from the Warframe update. Previously, I have no such interest playing Grendel, mainly because before the update, the kit are quite hard to play that I have quite already give up at that point. Yes, you can try those mini build before that, but I don't think I can play that well. But now, with the changes here, I can tell you that now Grendel can become my favorite frame, not because of how well it can eat, but now it can receive a massive health tank with minimum control. That's why I think that Grendel is one of the good frame to play right now. So in this video, we'll try to see the how do I try to build my Grendel into a endurance available frame. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Previously, Grendel can gain 50 armors for each enemy eaten. This is actually quite reasonable because it can eat an infinite amount of enemies, but in exchange, it can also drain a massive amount of energy at once. This is the main reason why I do not enjoy playing Grendel back then. But now, they changed it that you can only eat 5 enemies at maximum, but 1 enemies will give 250 armors and drain no energy. Compared to before, in order to reach the same armor value, you will need to consume at least 25 enemies in order to reach that value, and you also need to maintain those high energy drain. But now, the same armor value can reach with just only 5 enemies with no extra energy drain. This is actually quite good because now you can reach this high value quite easily without the need of maintaining those energy drain. Not only that, Nourish also received a massive changes. Rather than before, which you will need to rotate 3 buff, now it combines all 3 into just a single buff. It still remains the self-healing and those extra effectiveness for energy orb. The main changes here is that rather than toxin, it changes to viral, which when enemies hit you, not only enemy will suffer from the virus proc and those minimum amount of viral damage, but you can also imbue your own weapon with viral damage. This is quite effectively useful because you don't really need to imbue your own weapons with viral mods in order to deal viral damage anymore. Instead, you can exchange it into something else such as corrosive, for example, to deal damage against armor unit. And not just only that, Nourish Helminth also changed into the same buff except it's just the same things where I just remove the self-healing. This also shows that every frames here can do viral damage and also receive an extra effectiveness for energy orb with Nourish buff here. Interesting enough, Pulverize and Regurgitate has swapped position from 3 to 4 and 4 to 3. But I think that's actually reasonable because I think Regurgitate much more better to be in the 4th position here. But for Pulverize here, they changed quite a lot of things. Before that, you will need to consume at least 1 enemy so that you will be able to cast it. But now, you can cast it without any enemies consumed. But in exchange, you will also drain constant energy rather than before it will drain quite higher the more time you in the pulverized state. But they also changed the physics there so you can do more easily with those pulverized state. Yeah, I think now you can play the meatball so well right now. Aside from everything, the damage there, the main buff it achieved here is that it also gained an armor strip there at base 50%. I think that's good enough because this also shows that Pulverize can actually become useful at some point. Regurgitate still doing the same, just speed out the enemies, but instead of before, now you will also need to cast with an extra energy in order to use it. Yeah, this can be a small nerf, but that's because it also gained another buff for Regurgitate, which is another armor strip, and not base 50, instead base 75%. This also shows that a least amount of strength will achieve full armor strip so easily. Now you can see that why Regurgitate become my favorite ability, not just armor strip but also dealing damage, because now you can armor strip and doing those toxin does damage so easily without the need of high strength or other stuff now. Just 1 speed is all you need. From my build here, you can see that I subsume or pulverize into something else such as raw. The reason why I will be using raw is that Regurgitate itself already can reach armor strip and high damage, so I don't think that I will be using the pulverize here. Especially, Pulverize will be more useful as those Mimi big ball builds, so you can go with that by yourself. But now, in order for me to go into those endurance missions, then I think that I will be going into something else, such as Raw to increase the damage. The reason why I use Raw and not Mirage Eclipse is that Raw is the few abilities that can increase the damage for abilities. In other words, maybe Regurgitate damage can be increased through Raw. And not only that, Raw damage is increased as a faction mods. What does that mean? Toxin Dots favors it because it can double dips it. And what happens if Regurgitate can also receive the damage from Raw? It becomes triple dip. This is why Serene Toxin Lash build can be so favored with Raw because it can reach triple dip with that build. So we'll be using the same mechanic as Raw maybe can reach triple dip for Regurgitate. But if not, you can still using the double dip mechanic for those Toxin Dots damage. For my build here, I will be going with the health tanking build. This also means that I will be using Umbral Vitality to increase the health values here, paired up with the Umbral Intensify to increase even further, with Adaptation. Yes, health tanky build, I'm using Adaptation. But we know that we'll be taking a lot of damage to our health, so why not we try to convert those damage towards health into energy by using 100 Adrenaline. You can also use Rage for a cheaper and small capacity cheaper version, but that's your choice. For my strength here, despite we know that Regurgitate can reach the full armor strip with least strength required, still, we want to push the damage even further, as well as raw values here. So, not just Umbral Intensify, but also using Blind Rage as well as Mold Augmented to further enhance the strength here. Of course, you can see that I'm just using one prime continuity for my duration here because I don't think that I will need to worry about much for our duration, since we know that Nourish will be recasting a lot of time in order to heal Grendel's health. And Raw because the duration is already quite long, so I don't need to worry about that anymore. Since we know that we'll be getting a lot of energy, not just taking damage to our health, but also the extra effectiveness of energy up through Nourish. So Prime Flow is what I will be using. Yes, just a single Prime Flow is all I need when we pair out 100 Adrenaline. But something so interesting is that I'm using Quick Thinking here. This is actually a free slot for you to go for. You can go with Nice Hatred, but I think this is much useful because at some point you cannot guarantee that you can dodge every damage. And sometimes I may even get one shot by certain enemies or even those acolytes. And I can thank Quick Thinking for saving me because I didn't get one shot at that time. You will thank me as well as Quick Thinking for saving your life. Spring Boost here because I can tell you this boy is quite slow. Yes, it is fat, so it moves quite slow. So Spring Boost is all I need to increase its speed there. But you can go with something else if you can change the polarities, that's your choice. Prime Sure-Footed, quite self-explanatory. And finally, Arcane Avengers for my another Arcane slot because we're taking a lot of damage, so why not try to use that for our favors. And that's it for my Grendel's build here. Grendel is really one of the lucky ones that changing from a worst kit into a best kit, at least. Because now you can get those high value with minimum action required. I really want to thank DE for doing this because now I really would like to use Grendel a lot. Yeah, Fat Boy really get a fat promotion. Well, Wukong will cry at some point, but that's how it is. But then again, Wukong, maybe you can gain another buff if let's say Grendel become too powerful with those mobs. But let's see how it will go in the future. But then again, this is what I think about Grendel. So remember, eat those enemies and become the real Fat Boy. If this is your first time watching, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss out any news contents from me. Why not leave your comments down below if you got any ideas or thoughts you want to share with all of us. And that's it from me, and as always, I will see you all next time. Bye bye!